of my series on returning to running, having had what was in my case a mild dose of COVID. But first, something completely different.
Funny story. I did my first quality run since getting COVID last week, and I did the Higgins 5k on the waterfront, which you haven't done, you should try. And went okay. Ran 5k in 19:10, which is not 5k pace, but it's above my threshold pace. And I was quite pleased with that. Went for an easy run the next day, and then bam, I started getting chest pains. So anyway, we left it a couple of days, took a couple of days off just to see, and went to urgent care on Saturday, being slightly worried by this point. I considered the idea that it might be post-COVID myocarditis or pericarditis. Not likely, but possible. And so I had an ECG and a cardiac enzymes, which is testing for a thing called troponin, which is a very, very sensitive test for damage to your heart muscle. Well, that was interesting, I can tell you. So as you can probably tell from the fact that I'm actually running, and it's Monday today, didn't record yesterday because I was watching Western States all day. Way to go, Ruth Croft. That they both came out negative. Turns out I've probably just got chronic indigestion. 1 tablet of omeprazole daily, sorted. To summarise, very worried, all sorted, slightly embarrassed.
Clearly Dr. Gregory House MD is not going to be inviting me to join his diagnostic team anytime soon. But I'd much rather that I end up with slight embarrassment than potentially a very serious medical condition. Unlikely though that may have been. So, we're going to talk a little bit again about heart rate. One of the comments that had come out previously is, am I using a heart rate strap or am I using a wrist? Most of the time I use a wrist HR on my Garmin 935 watch because it's close enough for my purposes. And I have done testing against the strap itself and the watch, and they both actually seem under most circumstances to be pretty close. But just to be sure, I did a run earlier this week where I did actually use the heart rate strap just to check how we were looking. This is the run that I talked about earlier where I used the chest strap rather than just using the wrist HR. In a fine demonstration of Murphy's Law, we can see the first 4 kilometres are a complete mess from a GPS perspective, so aren't particularly useful for us. The second half, though, looks much, much better, and we've got clean GPS data and clean heart rate data, so we'll take a look at this. We can see I've averaged I've gone 5:11, 4:37, so we're probably averaging 4:45 for the last 4 kilometres. When we go and look at the heart rate, we can see 148, 147, so mid to high 140s, and that trend's kind of consistent all the way through, maybe mid 140s. So what this tells me is that the data that I'm getting from my heart rate strap here is pretty consistent with the wrist HR I've been using. And for going a little bit quicker than 5 minutes a kilometre, I'm in the mid to high 140s, which ain't bad. My pace at my aerobic heart rate's kind of starting to increase, and this is fantastic. We're kind of improving and we're getting back to where we should be. In a similar vein, my resting heart rate back down to 51 for last week, which is quite nice. It's not quite as good as I'd like it to be in the high 40s, but we're at least observing a positive trend. So that's quite good. And we've got things to look forward to. I'm about to go home to the UK, see my family for the first time in 3 years. So I've got lots of running planned from there. Need to possibly agree that with my wife. But there's going to be some time in the Lake District where I'm going to go and recce a couple of the Bob Graham round legs, and there's going to be some running around Cambridge where I spent most of my childhood. All good stuff. But in terms of races, I've still got an entry to the Topor Marathon. I think that's probably going to be a run. I'm not going to be in the shape to race, and it's certainly not a sub-3 target for me anymore, given where we are. So, where does that leave us? Well, topically, it was the Western States 100 at the weekend, and I need a qualifier for this year. I was planning on going to the Blackall 100 in Australia, but now that the Topor 100k is also a qualifier, I think I'll probably be going to run that. It's a very good course, it's a very fast course, so I should easily be able to get into the 17-hour time to do it, and it looks like a fun race to go and do, and certainly some of my friends will also be doing it. So, I guess we've just got to get back to it. Build that volume back up. I've managed 3 consecutive weeks of over 50k, which really isn't fantastic. It's half what I'd expect it to be. I need to get back 80, 100, 120 kilometres a week to really build up for that race in mid-October. So that's where we are. I look forward to speaking to you in about a week's time, which will probably be delivered from the UK. So in the meantime, hope your training is going well, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your race results and my race results as well. Take care, guys and gals.